The answer to all your questions and the truth of all you seek is already within.
I love it. And I feel like you answered the other question I asked as far as, do you believe that what's happening on the inside is also happening on the outside? Today's show is sponsored by Naked Warrior Recovery. So happy that they became a sponsor of the show. They have greens, CBD gummies, CBD lotions, CBD drinks, CBD tinctures, all these recovery products on their website. I love these products. These are my two favorites, which are the green apple gummies and the happy berry energy drink. That thing to me is so awesome. It's dangerously good. You should get some. And guess what? You can. If you go to their website, nwrecovery.com, and use code CMP20 at checkout, you'll get 20% off your order. The reason I love these is not only because of the products and the way that it makes me feel, both as an athlete recovering, but as a person dealing with everything going on in the world. They are veteran-owned, veteran-operated, and a part of their mission is to support veterans, first responders, and athletes in helping them recover and live happier, more fulfilled life. So again, you can support them, support the show, support their mission, and support your damn self by going to nw-recovery.com and save yourself 20% by using code CMP20. Again, my favorites are the green apple gummies and the happy berry energy drinks. If you're listening to the show, do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube or on the podcast. It would mean total awesomeness. It would be awesome if you could do that. We'd appreciate it. Hit the like. If you feel like you're getting a lot of value out of the show, share it with a friend. That would help us get the word out there. The team works hard, yo. We got lights, we've got cameras, we've got iPads, we've got supplements and mugs. It would be great for you to share the love there too. You can also support the show with some monies. We have Cash App, we have Venmo, we have PayPal, and if you go to linktree/Cale Marker, that's linktr.ee/Cale Marker, you can find the links there. It'd be super awesome. We have some bigger plans for the show, and just would, if you have some extra monies you want to throw around, awesome.
Well, it's early afternoon here. It's late evening where you're at. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, what's up, Cale? How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well, man. I'm working, doing the Are You Happy thing and also my own freelance sort of directing thing, trying to combine both. I feel like when I started freelancing again, it was going to come in competition with my Are You Happy stuff. But I made my problem my solution, and I just made the stuff I'm getting hired for also content for Are You Happy.
Speaking of Are You Happy, go ahead and introduce yourself and Are You Happy to the listeners.
Well, let me ask you, how did you find Are You Happy?
TikTok, baby.
What did you find from it? What did you like about it?
Oh, I love the little twist here. What did I like about it? I liked the fact that, there he is. What I like about it is the fact that it made it simple. You're going around the world, you're asking people, are they happy? And you're digging into the reason. What you got going on over there, man?
I'm listening.
All right. For the listeners, he's out there kind of walking around his house. But the one thing I love about Are You Happy is the fact that you're out there traveling, asking people, are they happy? And then you're digging into the reasons why they're happy. And I think that's just necessary. I think for a person who, for myself and my journey, is asking myself what makes me happy is a big question. And where does that happiness come from? And I don't think enough people challenge themselves on those questions. To have somebody like yourself go do that and do it on a social platform kind of brings a funness to it, a likeness to it. And it's entertaining and it's informative and it's exciting to be not only a person who asks myself that and in search of what does make me happy, but to see that journey through others and see people kind of go through the process of thinking about it. So it kind of hooked me on watching people think about that question, because you can tell that like not everybody just had, like when you say, hey, how you doing? Everybody's like, good, how are you? It's just like this response, this mechanical, what's the word I'm looking for? Just it's this automatic response that people have. And so when you ask them that and they actually have to ponder and stop and think, not just are they happy, but what makes them happy, I think it's important to get them to stop and think about what's happy. So that's what drew me to, well, it came on my TikTok, and then that's what drew me to kind of go down the rabbit hole of like, how many people is he asking, and what's the story behind this? So that's what really set me on the search of what it is you're doing. And then I believe that's what led us to have this podcast conversation here anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, just to sort of add to that in terms of my introduction, I really like sharing people's stories, whether it be through like narrative filmmaking or documentary filmmaking. Are You Happy is a documentary project where I'm sharing stories and cultures from all around the world and beliefs surrounding happiness. And I also, make films. I work as a director in the United States and in Europe. I've worked in the entertainment industry for the past 5 years in Los Angeles, and about 3 years prior to that in New York. And I've just been making movies ever since I was a kid, something I'm really passionate about. And I just plan to always do it.
So you said you started when you were a little kid. What was like the first either movie that inspired you or what got you started like pursuing making films?
It's kind of funny to say, but there was a show on Disney Channel where this kid in the show always walked around with a camera, and I was always very curious as to what that meant. So I always used every opportunity to use my parents' VHS camera to either record home videos or birthday parties or whatever that we were having as a family. And I just became really connected to the home video, honest sort of filmmaking, and try to keep that like home video honesty going in everything I create, even as a professional.
Now, do you enjoy being in front of the camera or behind the camera?
It really depends on the platform. I typically end up behind the scenes, but sometimes I'll put myself as a driver of a taxi cab, or I'll ask my dad to be a cook in the kitchen.
What was the Disney show? I'm curious because I think your age. I don't.
Yeah, so it's a little embarrassing, but it's Lizzie McGuire.
Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah. Gordo, shouts out to Gordo.
I don't know that show very well. I think so what are you, 25?
I'm 26.
20, see right there. Yeah. So I think that was something my younger brother watched a little bit. It sounds like I'm just a little bit older than you. So, but that's interesting. So I just turned 30 on Christmas Eve.
Okay. How does it feel?
I'm stoked. I'm honestly like, the 20s were a shit show for me. I went through a lot, and I've been doing a lot of writing recently, the last year or so, and kind of telling the story about my first 30, how I got to where I am today, because I feel like I've tried on so many different hats and so many different roles and so many different characters in my life, just trying to figure out and answer the one question, like, who am I? What's two questions, I guess, and what's the point for me being here? And so I feel really confident now, and I'm sure it evolves and it changes and it grows and it expands, but I feel more solid and more confident in who I am today, and very much less a people pleaser than what I used to be. And the motivation has shifted to what makes me happy, what is my purpose, and who am I? So for me, I feel excited for my 30s. I'm like, I've never been so non-anxious, so calm. I've been so calm. And obviously I'm only a few days into my 30s, but just leading up to being 30, like, I mean, life is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And just fortunate, honestly, as cliche it is, just fortunate to wake up every day and make a choice to do something that I love. I mean, for me, it's not like what we do actually always matters. And what I mean by that is, like, I think for me personally, I've always been caught up in thinking like, I shouldn't be doing this one thing that I'm doing. I should be doing something else. And what I've realized along the way, in the short story of it, is like a lot of it is just who you're with. And we're always going to be doing something. And my kids who are 8 and going to be 6 tomorrow, if you watch kids, they'll build up these Lego castles or these big blanket forts, and then they want to jump on them and tear them down and destroy them. And I think it kind of speaks to impermanence a little bit. And I know I'm going off on a riff here, but I'm excited about my 30s because I'm not so attached to everything. I'm not so attached to people's opinions of me, my opinion of myself, the thoughts I have as someone who struggled with anxiety and depression and all those fun things that us very fortunate people to live in a house with heat, like it doesn't make any sense that I have those feelings. And so I just feel very fortunate that, I get to wake up and I'm having a conversation with you halfway around the world on an iPad with some headphones on. Life's pretty fantastic and magical. And I want to keep leaning more into that as I enter my 30s. So I'm stoked. In short, I'm stoked.
I didn't know you were a dad. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I became a dad when I was 21. So that was young. That was very young for me.
Well, not in my opinion.
Yeah. And so I feel like this is your podcast and you're asking me all the questions.
I'm the guy who asked. No, but
I know you're like,
it's,
whatever.
Turn it around, right? Yeah, man, being a dad is awesome. And it was very challenging in the early years because I was just discussing, I had no idea who I was, man. I had no idea in my 20s who I was, let alone raising a couple kids, throwing in a little business on top of that and trying to be married. And it was wild. So I really feel like I've in some way shittily prepared myself to deal with some hard stuff. So I feel like life is kind of easy. Like, just enjoy it. It's very principle. It's very simple. Just enjoy it. Take it as it comes. Do what makes you happy. So I am curious more of to kind of circle back to your filmmaking and Are You Happy? Just to give the listeners a little bit more of Are You Happy and what you're doing. I'll speak to it and feel like you can add to it, whatever. But so I came into Are You Happy on TikTok. You guys are on Instagram. You guys are on YouTube. And you said you worked on films before in LA and New York. And specifically, what film are you working on with Are You Happy right now? Because I believe you got some things in the works there.
It's all part of the same idea. Everything that you've seen on Are You Happy so far is all clips of a larger project. By the way, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it just kicked me off my headphones there. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Better now. Because
weird. All right, I can hear you. Technology.
So saying
we were just discussing the documentary.
All the clips that you've been seeing are part of this larger project that I'm making. I'm working with a couple production companies now on deciding whether it's going to be a feature project or like a series project. But that notwithstanding, it's a plan to have an Are You Happy documentary, or Are You Happy produced documentary that would platform on an SVOD platform, such as any of the ones you might have seen yourself.
That was a little cut out. Hopefully we don't have the whole show, but just I didn't hear it on my end, so I'm not sure if the listeners are going to hear that. So you said you're working with a couple production companies trying to figure out if it's going to be a feature or a series, and then basically using the content from the clips that we've seen on TikTok to kind of expand on that. First of all, I just got to know what made you decide, like, all right, I'm going to go around the world and ask people, are you happy? What was the plan, or was there a plan in your head like that set you off on this mission to go do this? What was that about?
Yeah, so as a filmmaker, I always have a camera handy, and I'm always experimenting with different ideas. Um, you know, using the camera as a medium. So I was like making about 7 different projects at the time. Some narrative, some uh, documentary, experimental, and this was one of the documentary projects. I was also doing some spec work at the time, and I just was being inspired by a lot of things that I was seeing at the time. I saw a 1963 documentary called Chronicle of the Summer, where these two non-filmmakers um, go into the streets of Paris with a psychologist, and they go to follow the psychologist's day-to-day life. And her job at the time was asking random people on the street psychological questions, just as a matter of survey. And one of the questions was, "Are you happy?" And so while she's collecting data on a bunch of different questions, I went out at that time as I was just randomly shooting stuff with my camera. Started asking actors I was working with. I'll be on set. Like a lot of the early stuff is me, on set of another project that I'm making, and I pull the actor aside, or I use the good lighting that I already have set up, and I'm like, what's are you happy? I'm interested in this question, and I just made a collection of those answers and started uploading around Corona time. And those two things just synced up, and a lot of people who are interested in happiness as an idea or as a goal found, like you said, some sort of inspiration from those human answers. So as to my plan, um, uh, just telling stories still. And then there was a larger plan at work that I wasn't aware of, and I'm still not aware of. It's just sort of happening, and I have no real control over it. Sort of like the popularity that you've been talking about.
Millions upon millions of views and likes and followers on TikTok, and it's interesting that I didn't know what a Chronicles of the Summer, is that what it was?
Of a summer.
Of a summer. I wrote that down wrong. Try writing notes. And then kind of expanding on that, and I gotta admit, I love the hustle. I love the hustle of saying, hey, I got all these lights and all this stuff here. Might as well take advantage of that and ask some questions. And I feel like it's fitting for me. I was gonna wait to do this till the end, but I feel like it's fitting now is to ask you kind of some of the same questions that you ask everybody else when you're on the road, and give some context to the audience too, as to what you're asking them if they haven't yet found you on the interwebs. So question to you first off is, are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy when I'm working, or work gives me happiness. So I happen to be working right before our call. Sorry for being a little late. I have actually a really exciting video I want to talk to you about. It's something I don't think anybody's talking about right now. And then so I'm like in the middle of a work session right now. So you found me very happy. And perhaps after I'll be done working, my happiness will be subject to the other aspects of life I have less control over.
It's kind of like a test that you know the answers to, or you know the questions to already. It's a little unfair. You kind of know the next question, and you kind of answered it with the first one is what makes you happy, and obviously you just kind of answered that with work makes you happy. And I gotta apologize, man. You could have just texted me. We could have just moved this back if you were in flow state.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. There's no schedule to my work. There's a schedule to this, so it makes sense, and I don't mind at all. Sometimes I need to step away from it to analyze objectively.
This is interesting. To kind of go off on the sidebar, I learned the other day that because I've been researching sleep a lot, and sleep it was one of the things that Albert Einstein used to curate for himself. Speaking of kind of stepping away from work, and I don't know if you know this, I apologize if you know this, but basically one thing he would do is he would have a problem in his mind, he wouldn't be able to figure it out, so he would just sleep. And there's a state right before you enter into another state of sleep that if you wake up, your brain is just like basically took that problem and kind of solved it. So he formulated a chair in his room, and I don't know where I heard this. I need to go Google it, but basically he was in a chair and he created this mechanism that at a certain time frame, when he would kick or twitch, that would mean he was in that state to solve the problem. So he would set up something where he would kick and just this, what is that? Gingrich? What is that old school thing where one thing connects to the other? I'll have to Google that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, he would do something and it would wake him up, and then he would go right back to solving that problem because he could step away from it. And it kind of feels like that's what you're doing too, is kind of stepping away from it and then coming back to a problem and solving it. So he would use naps to kind of help him solve problems and step away from it, which was interesting to me. So again, I don't know where I was going with that, other than the fact that I thought that was interesting. And like, I felt like it was worth sharing and saying like, hey, when you step away from stuff, I guess what I'm justifying the fact that it's okay for you to be on my podcast during the middle of your work and making me feel better about it. I think that's what that is. So you mentioned you got a cool project that you wanted to talk to me about. Did you want to talk to me now, or did you want to talk to me later?
Yeah. Well, it was just an idea that I was working on before we talked, or before we started talking. So like, as the end of the year is approaching, what a lot of people are talking about is like recapping the year and how we've been so strong during difficult times. You see that through marketing and creators online and a bunch of sort of visual platforms. But nobody's really talking about all the amazing things that have happened this year. Putting aside all of the million amazing things that happened today just for you, there are trillions of amazing things happening around the world. And I was doing some research as to all the great things that have been happening around the world, and it's actually very inspiring. So I've started to make a little edit using my voice and documentary footage I've captured, and just documentary footage that we've all seen this past year, just through the media. And I think it'll be really cool. I think a lot of people will like it.
Where are you going to put that out on?
It's going to be going out on TikTok today.
Today?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. So people have to go out there and get on your TikTok and see that today. I'm excited to see that. And I agree with you. I think it's always been in my mind that people will say, hey, the world we live in, it's bad, or things are going on. And I agree. I mean, it didn't take a 2020 pandemic for lives to be lost or for people to lose their jobs. People have lost their jobs in 2019, 2018, 2017. People have lost loved ones all the years. And I understand that it's happening on a different scale and it's a different level. But a lot of that, I just don't think we as humans are meant to just let invade into our brains on a constant way. And I think for me, I'm appreciative that you're using media as a way to highlight the positives that are going on around the world, because like you said, the word trillions, there are trillions of things that are going on in people's lives that are positive and that are beneficial. And I think for me as a young kid, and then as a young adult, and to now a 30-year-old, I feel like if you kind of just step outside and you kind of meet people in your neighborhood and you meet people in your community and then your family, life isn't what it's always portrayed to be in the media. I was doing a statistic the other day because I'm weird like that. And I was looking at like 12 million. 12 million is a ton of people. It's a lot of people, but it's really only a small fraction of the world's population. It's only like 0.2%. And what that did to me was kind of portray in my mind of how much 12 million is, and how much 12 million problems could be, and how overwhelming that could be, and how it could seem like that's just, as far as life is that's what the world is like, it's messed up, it's negative, but it's only really 2% of the world's population, and it's such a small thing. And so I feel like that's why it's such an advocate of getting out in your community and meeting people where they're at and seeing those positives. So I just again, long-windedly want to say thank you for spreading that positivity, not only with Are You Happy with now this new project and kind of reflecting on 2020, because for me, you know, and I shouldn't feel ashamed of it, but 2020 has been a great year for me. You know, I've had family members and loved ones close to me have COVID, and fortunately have been, you know, okay through it. I've had people that I know that have been able to keep their job or transition to a new job that they love. And I don't think people should feel bad for those wins in their life, when most of the time those things deserve to be celebrated and are celebrated. And I don't think that just because some of the things that are happening in life today around the globe, that people should exclude those feelings of joy and happiness. And I think we need to not strip others and not strip ourselves of joy to be felt. I just think it's important to feel that joy, especially with 12 million negative things going on. So tip my hat to you, fine sir.
I appreciate those kind words.
I gotta know what's some of the project. Where are you from originally? Are you, because you said you were doing some films in New York? Is that where you were from?
Yeah, born and raised in Connecticut. And,
Connecticut.
yeah, I'm working on the East Coast just because I'm here. And then after I graduated college from Fairfield University, I worked in LA just for a couple years.
I'm curious to know, so when you were at college, were you still carrying around the camera, and how did people feel about you carrying around your camera? I guess being a 26, people are a little more comfortable around your age around cameras because everyone has a phone on them. And I think everyone probably would have had a cell phone when you were in school anyways. I mean, it was only a few years ago. So were people comfortable with you filming, and were you filming?
Yeah, even then my reputation preceded me, because you know, I'd go to parties and more girls knew about my video work than they knew me. So I'd have to have my work introduce myself. I'd be like, hey, my name is Atdhe. And they'd be like, who? I'd be like, ever seen the syllabus? And then they'd be like, you know, of course. They said, yes, it's my favorite show. And then I said, well, I created that show. You know, maybe toot my own horn a little bit, but
I mean, why not, right? I mean, you're a young man in college, you know. I mean, I don't think it's any secret of what young men in college think about. You know, obviously filmmaking is one of them for you. So the syllabus, so where do people find your work? Just curious.
just my name, lastname.com. But the syllabus is just a series I had throughout college. And it was good because it wasn't like Are You Happy popularity, but it was a bit of a local popularity. So so it was interesting getting a peek at that so early in my life.
Well, so like I said, my kids are 8 and 6. So when did you pick up the camera? Was it when you were around that age, or when it was 11, 12, 13? I feel like I want to know a little bit more about that.
Probably when I was 7. 7 years old is the first video I remember recording.
Oh my gosh. And then what were some of the films you worked on in, you know, in not just what were they title wise, but what was the film of, what were the films about a little bit too? Tell me a little bit about this.
When I was 7.
What's that?
Well, at a very young age, or just
all of them? Just all. I'm curious as to know what the projects you've put out, and obviously people can go to the website and kind of see a little bit more. And I got to do that myself. Go ahead and just shout out the website. Just first name, last name.
Yeah, it's my name is Atdhe, Treca. So maybe you could put in the show notes.
Absolutely.
It's a little hard to spell out. And that.com, atdhetreca.com. But everything on there kind of has its roots in Are You Happy? Like I was mentioning earlier, even as a young kid, I was interested in just recording real life through home video. And that's a trait of my filmmaking that I've kept throughout. So each of it has a human interest element to it.
So where
I also
I don't know if
went to journalism school. You know, I don't
what's
talk
that?
much. I also went to journalism school, which I don't talk about much, but I just learned how to conduct interviews in a concise and effective manner. So I didn't really realize at the time, you know, how I'd use those skills, but Yeah, a lot of what I learned just in college, through English literature and journalism, has helped in Are You Happy a lot.
I see that. For those listeners who don't know, and for a little bit, I just got back from Colorado with Megan, and you know who Megan is, and we just launched a new show on the podcast called the Cale May Morning Show. But we were just out in Colorado asking those questions, and you talked about something just about journalism and interviewing. And one of the things that you kind of told us is we kind of capture a little content for you guys is, the pause. And that's something big in sales, right? It's like, ask the question, shut your mouth, right? And so little things like that play a huge role in just letting people kind of dig a little deeper into what they're trying to say. And kind of, I mean, you can look at it a few ways, like, right, like if I'm an interrogator, I want you to get as much information out as possible, make you feel some pressure. But just in general, it's a good thing to just let the question seep in and keep digging a little deeper, because you do get past those formulated or automatic responses of like, hey, are you happy? Yep, move on. It's like, let them dig a little deeper. So it's funny to me though too, because, and you've done it to me a little bit here, but is how much you said how much journalism has played into helping you now. And I think that's a huge thing that I didn't ever really realize until I was in my late 20s, is how much everything I've done up until this point, whether it was having girlfriends in high school and in college and investing into that, it all, or whether it was playing sports and learning how to work out, or I owned a CrossFit gym for a while, like what all of that means to today, and how it all plays a little bit of a role into where I'm at in my life right now, and what I'm doing right now. And I think some people who, fortunately for you, picked up a camera and you knew that's kind of what you were going to do, and you're still doing it almost 20 years later, which is insane to me. I don't really feel like I've done anything like that other than be playful and be silly. I've done that my whole life. But I think it's pretty cool to see how people who are in a certain phase need to kind of get the lesson or the thing. What do I want to say? The skills needed for the next step, whatever that next step may be, next phase of their life, next chapter of their life. So it's pretty interesting. So all the stuff kind of goes on Are You Happy? Where are you going next with Are You Happy?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about going to Istanbul today, but I decided to change my plans. I think I'm going to do a smaller road trip, perhaps in Greece. So yeah, that might be tomorrow.
So out of all the places you've been to, what's your top places to visit?
Honestly, I get that question a lot, and
Of course.
it seems to be like a country of Kosovo. It is like, I guess it's not my best kept secret anymore, but it's really, really great country.
Where is that?
That is northeast of Albania, or Italy, I guess. If you're not familiar with where Albania is.
Not really. My geography, I was a terrible student, by the way. Like I said, I was always just silly. So paying attention in school wasn't, especially geography, was like,
Yeah.
no.
I did enough to get by in school. It's like
What's that?
I felt like I just did enough to get by in school.
Yeah, I think your mind was probably somewhere else, right? You wanted to pick up the camera, and you probably weren't allowed to have the camera in class.
Well, I found a way. But, instead of an essay, I'd be like, hey, could I make a video instead? And
Do you write a lot?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that today. I haven't written in a while, but writing is, another big passion of mine.
So when you write, what are you writing? You writing stories? You writing just essay style or journaling? What kind of writing you go into?
In terms of the fiction work, is screenplay. But I also do some poetry and free writing, which I also have on my website.
Just everybody, just go to the website. All right, all these questions I'm asking, they're on the website. He's already answered them all before.
No.
For me.
No. Don't talk like that.
So what's the big goal? Do you have a big goal? Is it to get something, on the big screen, I guess, lack of terminology that I have, but do you have a big, audacious, hairy goal?
My most recent big, audacious, scary goal is to start a family, and buy a house, and start my life as a self-sustainable person and citizen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would trump any filmmaking achievement. And perhaps it's it's a long-term goal, but that's the big, audacious, scary one.
It is scary being a parent, starting a family.
I want to know.
What's that?
Tell me about it. You said you're a young dad. Do you feel like you were actually young?
Not when I meet people who or when this, it's common. It's common where I'm from. You're from New York in the city, and people are, first of all, like the career I'm starting to build for myself, a podcast, wanting to get into comedy. And I wrote a movie concept yesterday, right? That wasn't where I'm from. It wasn't even an option. It was go work hard somewhere, white collar, blue collar, and get a job and work for somebody else. And that was kind of the story. And so to end up where I'm at was just not an option. So starting a family at a young age is a common thing to do where I'm from, rural Ohio, Midwest USA. And so, but I meet people, like there was a young lady who was a classmate with me. She had her first kid at 13. So 21 is substantially older than 13 and not prepared. But the scary thing for me, just personally, my personal experience was 21, I was an adult and I was on my own. And I wasn't very good at being on my own. I joke with my mom all the time because she has 9 grandkids. I think it's 9. And somewhere around there, 9, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. She has enough. And when my kids go around, my mom's the type of mom that would I joke with her because she would cut everybody's meat. Like, hey, can I cut the meat for you? And I'm like, I could go there now as a 30-year-old man. I'm like, Mom, hey, thanks for the food. Will you cut my steak for me? And she'll cut my steak for me. And I get on her because I'm like, please don't do that. And I was a very conversational person. So I felt mature in the way that I could hold conversations with adults, but I was very immature. I had no idea who I was. So in that way, I was very adolescent. And so that's what I mean by young. I was not prepared by being independent. I was not independent enough. Didn't know myself enough. And so therefore I felt really, really young. And kids mature you. Kids put the pressure on you. But I do feel like I was really, really young, especially now living in a city. It's a city. It's not the biggest city in the world, but it's Dayton, Ohio. And, there's enough people here and enough culture here that there's plenty of people who may never want kids or who want kids in their 30s or 35s. And it's just it's so weird because my kids will be 13 and 15 by the time I'm 35. And that's just kind of, a weird concept to me. So I was young. And parenting is one of the most, parenting teaches you this. Like, I was thinking about this concept the other day. I was like, you birth a child, which I have not done, but I've seen somebody do, it's the most excruciating pain of your life. And then the baby is born and you're in love. And I think that speaks to the challenges that life presents you. And then the amazing feelings that can come after extreme hard work, right? Labor is an intensive process for a woman, and it's really, really extreme, and it's a lot of pain, and it's a long process. It's 9 months, right? And it's the body's changing, the world is changing around you, you're growing a baby. Again, all of this, which I've not done, but just witnessed. And then you go through this excruciating pain, and then the baby is born, and then it doesn't really stop. The baby's there, and you see this bundle of joy, and you'll never experience love like you have when you have your first child or your second child or a child. And then it's just a lifelong thing. And I do feel that way with work. I feel like it's very, very hard to bring that into life and into existence. And then it's got to be nurtured the rest of the way. So I feel like you can learn how to be a parent through starting your own business, because it is kind of like having a child. So I know the door was left wide open for me to kind of answer that question, but parenting is one of the biggest pleasures, and I wouldn't use the word pain, but I just use the word pain because it sounds good with pleasure, but it's tough, man. It's fucking tough. It's really hard, but it's really rewarding in a lot of ways. And my kids teach me so much. I've talked about it a lot on my podcast, how much my kids have taught me about myself and about life. And a large part, that's probably why I had them so early, is because, again, it was probably meant for me to, if I attach meaning to it, to have kids at a young age for me to grow, because there might not have been anything else that would have put me, I'm a person, I know this about myself now, if I'm not motivated enough, I won't do it, and I'll find a way out. And my kids have provided me enough motivation to figure out who I am. And because of that, like, I don't think I would have had a better teacher for that. So that's probably why I had kids such a young age. So what I'm saying is it's going to be fun to look forward to, man.
When you say minus the emotion, what do you mean by that? I mean, if you attach meaning to it. And you said if you attach meaning to it, what did you mean by that?
I think people are meaning-making machines.
Okay.
We attach meaning in all sorts of ways. I'm a guy who's like, I should see a therapist. I should, and I'm not, as I enter this, I'll tread lightly, is there's nothing wrong with anything that I'm about to say. It's just saying that humans attach meaning to a lot of things. People in like, they look at the clock and it says 4:44 or 11:11, and it's like, that means something good's about to happen, or that fell down because of XYZ, or I didn't get that job, it's probably for the best because of this. And it's like, we have to attach meaning. This is, again, my opinion. I'm not a doctor, a person of science. I'm not a scientist. But I think we just attach meaning to a lot of things, and a lot of things being conversations with people, rejection from people, or jobs, which is still from people. So what do I mean by that? That's a good question. And now I have to bring some meaning to this. What do I mean by that? I think just in general, sometimes attaching meaning and trying to make sense of certain things can strip us of our joy. And I told you earlier on in this conversation that I'm really interested in not taking other people's joy from them, even if I have a better answer for them, better, quote, air quotes here, or taking my own joy away. I think we should find joy and playfulness and novelty in life and what it shows us, and not necessarily always search for some root cause or meaning why something's happening, and just let things be as they are in some way. And then let ourselves be. That's who we are. We are who we are, and we need to be who we are. And sometimes we have to allow that, let us be. So I think that's something I probably should write down on a note card and explore a little bit more. But for the most part, I think I hope that I wrapped that up for you a little bit.
Yeah.
What intrigued you about that part?
Just starting to value the longer lasting things in my life, when it's when given what's been happening, given what's been happening around the world, with people losing loved ones to this new virus, valuing the ones I have near more, and realizing that that's actually the most important thing in life. And it's easy to get bogged down with all the other things that are happening around the world. But that's the most important thing.
I think it speaks to kind of what I said a little earlier, is like thinking I shouldn't be where I'm at, expecting to be somewhere else. That if I do this, if I'm doing the thing that I'm doing, well, it won't get me where I'm going. That might be true, but maybe it's not. Like I contemplate this question is like, if I died tomorrow and all of my to-do list still won't get done, so why stress out about it? If the tire pops, if the kids aren't ready in time, if the meeting gets switched, I'm not saying that I want to be taken advantage of, but I don't feel fooled by that anymore, because I do believe that, you know.
What do you mean by taking advantage of?
It does make me feel a little weak to say like, I don't care if people are late, or if people miss meetings, or if I'm not on time. I kind of felt a little lack of self-respect for myself in that point. Like there are some things that I think I should uphold for myself. This is just for me, like my values there. So I think that's kind of what I mean when I say that.
Interesting.
But interesting. I think I'm explaining that. It's challenging, man. I like this. This is fun. But yeah, man, I think as I enter 30, I have just this new lens and perspective of moments. I don't know how everything's going to happen. There's been so many times where I have been able to look, hindsight's 2020. Interesting enough, right? Like hindsight's 2020. Oh, I can see how I got here now. But at the time I couldn't. So that means to me, it's very possible that I don't know the way to my dreams or my goals or how something's going to work. We attach ourselves to the specifics and how it's supposed to work. And this is the only way. When the world, there's a Kid Cudi song called By Design. And I've just been playing it on repeat. And he's like, talking about just go with it. It's all by design. Go with it. Don't fuck up the feng shui, right? Like things, when you think too much, you remove what's moving. What that meant to me was like, we always get what we ask for. And it doesn't always come by doing one specific thing or one specific action the right way. It comes by just taking actions and having faith in the universe or God or whatever your entity is, that it's going to happen, because that's the way it is. Like I don't know why I was born in 1990, Christmas Eve of 1990, when I could have been born in Christmas Day of 1770. So what is the purpose here? I don't know. There are so many answers that are way bigger than me, that if I could spend a lifetime on one question, which I kind of am, I guess. Who am I? Would be one of the ones that I'm spending a lifetime on. But that's what I mean by that, is I have not attached myself to what the actions are as if I know the answers. I don't know the answers. I don't know specifically what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that I feel a certain way when I'm doing things, which to me tells me that maybe I don't want to do that again, right? If I bite into a raw onion and I don't really like it, doesn't mean I don't like them forever. It just means I didn't like it then. And so I'm using that more and more as I enter into my 30s and I've had more life experiences. Just like, I don't know what the right answer is. I just got to keep moving. Whether that's, what's the movie? Because you're a big movie guy. Bruce Almighty. Have you seen Bruce Almighty?
It's funny because I just
What's that?
rewatched a couple scenes from it like last week.
Which scenes did you watch?
The one in the diner where he's like splits the coffee in half. And then the one with the monkey going out of the guy's butt.
That's a good one. There's another scene in there when he freaks out. And the scene basically talks about, he's like, do you think God, you want, I'm butchering this, you want happiness or you want peace, you want something. Do you think God, in the movie, do you think God gives you peace and just gives it to you? Or does God give you an opportunity? And so if you think of it that way and just play for it for a day, you can give a day to thinking about something and just playing the game. If you think about that and you try to experience that, if I look around and I'm actually aware of my surroundings and I'm here with my feet on the ground, I'm here in the moment, I'm sensing the world through my sight, smell, all my senses are I'm here. This is where I'm at. I will look around and I will be able to find everything that I've asked for on some way, or that I didn't ask for at all. right? It's not specific. It's not specific enough. I didn't ask for it, but it's there as a piece because it needs to be. Because it builds it's the construction, right? Most people don't ask for a specific type of lumber for their 2x4 inside their house. They just get one because it's a building block to it, right? They're not very specific about it. But if you look at about the things that you've asked, the questions you've asked, I want a relationship. I want to do what I love. I want more time. And then people get bored and they're on their phone when they were been given the opportunity to have more time. I want to be able to pay all my bills on time. Well, then you're going to have an opportunity to do that in whatever way. But for me, I'm at the point now where it's law. It's got to happen. Like law of the universe, law of the nature, law of God, whatever. When you ask for things, you get it, and you get what you asked for. And I think it's a way to be more specific and aware of what I've asked for. So I think we're given opportunities for those. And so if I become more aware of for example, how did I meet you on TikTok? Like how? Like, I don't know. How did this person from Connecticut connect with this person from Ohio who's traveling around the world, who I also want to do that? Who a few weeks before that started a production company because I have a podcast. Why not? Why not start a production company? To only find out that I've been watching master classes and I keep going to the filmmakers and the storytellers and the negotiators. And I start to see like, oh, these are all the opportunities. All I have to do is be there. Oh, I want a better relationship. Well, I have an opportunity to help my girlfriend with her house do a home project. And I could run away and be like, oh my God, I got to go make money. I got to go do this thing. But that's my opportunity to build a better relationship. And maybe that along the way, that makes me more money than it would have been if I just left and freaked out. So I can be calm in the moment and detach myself from people's opinions of me or my own opinion of me, where I should be, and be where I'm at, because I know this is exactly a part of the plan. And I have to get everything I've asked for. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I'll probably get on my phone and there'll be a message after here. And that I was so afraid that I couldn't pay that bill or I couldn't get that person to talk to me back. There'll be a message from that person because it just happens when it's ready, when it's time. Did I answer any? I don't even know if there was a question. I just feel like
I hear you.
Oh, this question was, what was the scene from Bruce Almighty? And there goes the rabbit hole. I'm excited for life, man. I'm 30. I get to do that now.
Why did you choose to pursue this instead of the job offer?
What do you mean?
Would you say there was another financial opportunity for you?
So like, yeah, I mean, for example, I left my corporate job in May. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. There was no, I just knew. And people around me like, you should kept that job, but they don't feel what I feel. And one of the therapists I've worked through, it keeps it real simple. She says, and she's probably 80 now, but she's like, what's your name? My name's Cale Marker. Do you have to pee? No, I don't have to pee. She's like, I can't tell you the answer to that question. Only you feel that. That's an internal feeling that only you are the person. Now, I might be holding my crotch shaking and you'll be able to say like, I think that dude has to pee, right? Like you can see little kids like,
you currently have to pee.
No, if people watch my podcast, actually watch it, they'll see me start to twitch. I'm like, okay, pause. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to pee. But no, I think to me, she talked about it, and I need to do a little bit, but it's called nuos, to know, like to actually know. And like when I quit my job, I knew that was the right thing for me. It had to have been. I could still be at that job, and I met the person I needed to meet. I have a friend, who became my boss there. And I learned some things about myself in that job. But when it was time to go, it was time to go. And I don't need to attach myself to, oh, could have been, would have been, should have been. So there is that job opportunity that I left. But just for example, of like, I should go drive Uber right now because I have to get another hour of Uber in to pay my bills. And that might be true sometimes. But again, if I go back to believing that I'm always where I'm supposed to be, I'll end up driving Uber when I'm supposed to drive Uber. It'll feel right. Like, I actually want to go do it. And I think that's daunting and scary for a lot of people. And I think I don't really want to spend time with those people because I know what I know now. I know that Like you have to have that leap of faith, and that I'm not afraid of the trials and tribulations. I've almost taken my life a couple times. I'm not afraid of what that person who doesn't know my life thinks of me anymore. I need to do what's right for me. So that's what I mean. I think we're always surrounded with opportunities to do or to be that thing. Even have the things that you want to have. People talk about being rich all the time, and usually that person has a phone. And it's like, if you have an iPhone, you're really rich. Like you're a really rich person, and you have no idea how rich you are to have that. Like from my understanding, any generation before us never had a supercomputer, phone, flashlight, leveler, wallet, communication device, spaceship. Like that's rich people stuff. If you ask somebody from the 70s, like, could we do what we're doing? You would have to be the 1% of the 1% to do this conversation. We are very, very rich. So most of the things that we want in life, we already have. Most of the things that we want to do in life, we can already do. We think we need an iPad to start a podcast. We think we need a mic setup. We need whatever. You have an opportunity to be, do, and have everything you want right in front of you. And once you start realizing that, you can start having a lot of confidence in who you are. So I don't think I've talked as much on a podcast since being alone on a podcast, by the way. Knows how to pull it out of you. What do you know? What do you know at this point in life? You're 26. Come on now, man.
Well, I've certainly changed a lot. When you asked me earlier what sort of big, audacious, scary goals do I have, I did think about the goals that I had just a couple years ago that were more based on other people's opinions of me. And now my goals are becoming things that I feel like are for me specifically, for and from me. It's things that I want to do and build for myself and, God willing, my family. And those things aren't a trophy or things that we've come to accept as success. I mean, where does our definition of success and goals come from? I think that there's a much better life out there. And luckily enough for you and me, I think we're living in a time where us as a species are coming to accept the more important things in life. I'm seeing and hearing a lot more of people there's like a culture of people that do this that's growing larger and larger every day.
Do you think that's a direct impact of the state of the internal mind, of your internal mind? Because again, 12 million people being, apparently there's 7 billion people or 8 billion, there's a ton of people, right? And 12 million is unfathomable. If I said, put 12 million people around me right now, I wouldn't be able to see anything other than people, right? That's so many. And for me, I think the question is like, do you think that that's a reflection of the internal state of mind that you have? That the reason you're meeting more peaceful people, the reason that you're seeing a lens of the world's a great place, it's not as bad as people say it is. Do you think that it has a direct impact on who you are on the inside and the mindset you have internally, and that you're being surrounded now by people who share that, so therefore you see more and more of that?
What is the question? I understood the last part, but what is the question that you're referring to?
Do you think, because you said you're seeing a lot of that more because of the times we're living in, you're seeing more and more of, because you didn't kind of say specifically, but you're saying you're seeing more of that love and kindness and positivity kind of around the world. And so my question about that is, do you believe that you're seeing that because it's a reflection of your internal state of being, your internal mind?
Wow. I don't know if I thought about it that way. What do you mean by a reflection of your internal mind?
So,
like
if someone,
like I would be manifesting something in my physical reality, or of like a more algorithm based what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis?
I'm just gonna say yes, because I don't know how it works.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know that I've been asking myself, do I really want the answer to some of the questions I'm asking? Because if I really don't want the answer, I don't want to seek it, because most likely I'll find it. And so what I mean by that, for example, is we want to be justified. We want to be validated. I think this is my thoughts. People in general want to be validated. And I want to be validated. So if I have my negative thoughts and I'm not paying attention to them, I'm going to, in my opinion, surround myself with people who will validate those negative thoughts. Yeah, that person's shitty. Think about basic relationships. You're from the US of A. Most likely you've been in high school relationships, or you've been around people, and boy, girl in a relationship, and boy breaks up with girl because boy finds new girl. So girl and all girlfriends want to justify her saying he's a piece of shit. Well, in reality, he's not a piece of shit. He's a person, right? He's not a bad person. He made a choice to not be with that girl. But all the girlfriends are going to validate her thoughts because she wants to be validated. So her crew of people, her girlfriends, are going to say, yeah, he's a piece of trash. So what I'm trying to say is we surround ourselves with people to justify our thoughts, and we seek that validation externally. And so what I'm saying is that when you strip that external validation and you find whatever it is inside of you as to what you want, you will start to then find that external validation again when you redirect what you actually want. When people want to be around people, I'm getting ahead of myself. What is it? Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. This has been ringing true. This has been ringing in my mind if you haven't read it. When you want something, the whole universe conspires to help you obtain that. I butchered the quote, but in a sense, that's kind of what it is. And so that's what I'm saying is when you shift the validation, you shift the need for a different environment. And so again, to that girlfriend relationship, it's like, oh, I want to be validated that he's a piece of shit. Well, you're going to be in a world, the universe has conspired algorithmically to put people around you to validate what you wanted. If you want to be in a relationship with somebody else, or you want to be in a healthy relationship, the universe is going to put healthy people who display that around you, which means they're going to remove people from you. Could be a breakup, could be difficult. So it's a constant adding and taking away, in my opinion. And I think, man, we went down a deep rabbit hole here. Wow. I think, again, how did I get here in front of a person who's a filmmaker? The universe conspires. I want to travel next year around the world. I want to be able to spend time with my kids on the road. I want to be able to capture, document. I want to earn a healthy living. I want to do stand-up comedy and pursue comedy. The universe somehow, I don't know. Right now, I don't have the money in my bank account to do that. I don't. But I'm not freaking out thinking I should go make $10,000 in the next 30 days, because I can't. Because I made it so extreme that I can't, that I have to trust the universe somehow. So I know I'm going from like A to M to K to Z and back and forth, but I do think, and the reason I'm asking the question is to actually get your opinion.
Well, do you have any real estate?
No, but yes.
I find it's a great way to pursue, since you mentioned the financial side of it, I find it is a great way to pursue my my passion and be self-sufficient.
So you own some properties?
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up here either, but
no, it's interesting, right? Like, I do believe you. My girlfriend has, we got a duplex 4 years ago in Dayton, and it's a duplex, and she has Airbnb. And so she does Airbnb and stuff like that. You all right? You choking on your water?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. We did go down a rabbit hole. It's pretty funny.
That's fun. You never answered my question though. I mean, I'm not, the honest thing is I'm not in a position. I mean, I would have to find the solution, and the solution is, do I want real estate? Is that the only way? No, I know you can be, that's the thing. That's the questions is like, it does seem binary, 1 and 0,
Right.
because every time I say yes to something, I'm, what is it? Shit. Start with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Was it something?
Talking about real estate.
What's that?
It's just so funny to me that we're talking about real estate. Excuse me.
Oh, it's good, man. This is a very interesting turn into a conversation, and this is why I love the podcast, because other people to get to share in on these perspectives.
It's fun. You were right at the beginning. We were like, "Oh, it's fun. It's conversational." I could see you set up a space for that.
It's organic, man. I admire people who can go and do all their research about their guest, and like I admire the hell out of Seth Godin, and I mean he speaks with the fewest amount of words and so elegantly. I'm like, if his podcast was a woman, in my mind, it would be the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, because he just paints that good of a picture, man. It's crazy. I just know myself at this point. It's like I know too much about myself now to know that organic conversations lead to places I didn't know existed.
Right.
And for me, I enjoy that ride more. I like that. It's fun for me. So anyways, the question about, what was that, 3 hours ago when I asked it, was do you now that I went on a huge I talked a lot. There we go. Do you think that, what you have in your viewpoint on the world of it being a nicer place is because of the shift in your personal mindset as far as the goals? And beautiful place, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Is this one of your real estates?
No, it's not. It's an apartment that I've gotten here while I'm working. I'm just here short term.
You gonna make me a sandwich? Some pie? What's this guy making?
Actually, my friend made this for me.
What is it?
It's a very good traditional dish here. And she also taught me how to make coffee. Very, very kind woman. Very, very kind.
Wait, she taught you how to make coffee?
Yeah, because admittedly, I had never made coffee for myself without a coffee machine. So I just had a pot and some coffee. I didn't know how to make it like that. It felt a little more manual. And she taught me this traditional way of making it. I think it's traditional, at least. So.
Traditionally. It depends on where you're at in the world, man. They make all kinds of different places. By the way, a place that I would recommend to you, now that we're on the topic of traditional and coffee and whatnot, is Cuba, if you haven't been.
Well, I haven't been.
You've been a lot more places than I have. Cuba was one of my favorite places of all time.
Really? Tell me more.
Yes.
When did you go?
I think it was somewhere around April, May, June of 2017. I think was the appropriate time frame for that. When are you coming back to the U.S.?
I don't know. Timeline's a little bit funky right now. This project keeps getting pushed. So until I complete this project I was originally hired for, there's some other work here that I'm doing just to keep busy.
You talking about the freelance?
Yeah, I do like advertising work. So I'll like direct commercials.
That sounds fun.
Well, it's not the most fun part of my trade, but no. But it's really great when you could make it fun. You know, that's really cool because then you have a marketing campaign where you're inspiring people or you're promoting something meaningful, but you don't always hit the mark, so to speak. You always aspire to do that, but sometimes it doesn't end up like that.
Like when I got some footage out in Colorado for Are You Happy, and then the wind picked up and we lost all audio, stuff like that, you mean?
Yeah, I know. It happens. It happens
It
to
does.
me.
Hey, I've got one question for you.
Okay.
Because I wanna wrap this up. It looks like you're making dinner.
No, don't feel rushed at all. Whatever,
Okay.
yeah, whatever you need.
I don't know if you're making lasagna or what you're doing over there.
Well, I'm warming up the thing that this woman made me.
Okay.
Doing some pita bread. Very, very kind woman. It's actually not pita bread. It's called pita.
Where's it from?
It's Albanian.
Albanian.
Yeah.
Man, sounds wonderful. Well, the one question I was gonna be real clever with this. I was gonna say, well, if you had one message that you could share with the world, what would that one message be?
I always try to not think about these answers. So it's
That seems unfair, by the way.
if I had one message for the entire world. I think the answer to all your questions and the truth of all you seek is already within.
I love it. And I feel like you answered the other question I asked as far as, do you believe that what's happening on the inside is also happening on the outside? Which I've asked that question like 87 different ways, I guess. But hey, man, I want to keep talking with you, and I want to collaborate on some more projects, or starting to build some more projects with you. And I just wanted to wrap up the show and the Cale Marker podcast with you, and just tell you thank you. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for letting us collaborate with you. Thank you for Are You Happy? Thanks for asking me all the questions. I should rename this episode of the podcast and make it your podcast, not mine. So, but I mean, I appreciate it. One last time, let people know where they can find you: firstnamelastname.com, Instagram handles, TikToks, YouTubes. Where do you want people to go to support you?
If you wouldn't mind putting in the show notes.
Not at all.
They could definitely go check it out there, which is just like the description page of the episode of the podcast you're listening to. And but it's basically at Are You Happy across social media, and then my website. You can find if you would look up my name, it'll show up if you're interested in it.
Sounds beautiful, man. Well, again, I appreciate you. I want you to enjoy that bread. And until next time, friend.
Hey, thank you so much, Cale. I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.